guys, what's up y'all? And what's up y'all today is I kind of want to share my testimony with you. I started this morning to do that, but ended up being really long. The lighting was terrible. I hope this lighting stays better. Some of you, as you know, have seen me for a little bit. And maybe you've never noticed, but I've kind of got like a little waddle maybe when I walk. And I want to share that story with you as to why that is. And plus it's a testimony that I do want to share with you. So let me get right to it, okay? Because I'm going to try to talk as fast as I can, try to cover as much material as I can with my testimony. I might have to have a part 1, part 2. I'm trying not to, but let's get to it. It was either 1996 or 1997. You think that I would know by now because of the traumatic incident that I was in. I was in a major accident, and I kind of share that with you. I had a young adults ministry then, and also I had a thrift store that I owned at this time. We had one of the members, young adults, in the congregation. Now the ministry was NGM ministry. It meant from Neutral Ground Ministries. It means for people from all over, whether it's north, south, east, west. It didn't matter. It was neutral ground for us to come and to fellowship and learn about Jesus. Okay. And saying that, I started in my house with 3 people, 3 young adults. And in a month's time, it increased to 35. I had to get a building. And so then it went from there. It just kept climbing and climbing. I think maybe we had 130 people at one period of time. But anyway, I was at the thrift shop, and it was Tuesday, and we had a Bible study. And so one of the gentlemen, young adults, had bought a scooter, and I had driven it before, but this particular night he wanted me to take a spin on it. Well, I had a check in my spirit, and I really wasn't sure that I wanted to do that because I was in a hurry to get down to the building to get ready for the Bible study. Excuse me. Anyhow, he just acted like he just really wanted me to take a ride, and I didn't want to hurt his feelings or disappoint him, so I said, okay, well, I'm going to go down here to one of the teachers' house that lived close to the thrift store, and I'll be right back. I had a check in my spirit not to, and I want to just say this to you. If you ever have that little check in your spirit, something tells you not to do it, don't do it. Anyway, but I went ahead. I left, and I had to go down the road. I had to take a left, and I had to take a right, then I had to take a left. Was fine. On the way back, when I got to the main road that I would turn back right to get up to the thrift shop, if you looked to the left, the road was kind of level, and then it went down a hill. But on the side of the embankment was this big tree, and it had overhang on it. And if you were far away from it, it looked like kind of like the trees were about to touch the road. You had to really pay attention, because if you didn't, people would fly up over that hill, and they would be on you in no time at all. So I was looking to my left and to my right, to my left, to my right, and I looked to my right, and like on down the road, there was this van, a little orangey looking van. Well, they were on their side of the road, I would be on my side of the road, so I didn't think anything too much about it. Anyway, I pulled to the right, and then I looked into the rear view mirrors that was on the scooter, because, you know, with the helmet on and everything, you can't turn around. You didn't have like a rear view mirror up here. You had to look in those mirrors. So I'm looking like this and looking like this, and to see if anybody was approaching me, you know, fast. And so I was, you know, really concerned about that. Well, when I looked up, I didn't have time to do anything except to say Jesus. And so I yelled out the name Jesus. The lady had crossed the line, and she was texting, that we found out later. There was no witnesses around when this all happened, okay? So she crossed the line and she hit me head on. What I remember is that I went up on top of the hood of the car, and the next thing that I remember, I was down flat on my face. I could see the pavement. There was somebody that was rubbing my back and telling me that I would be okay. I wanted to flip over, and they kept telling me, no, you need to stay right there, don't move. That 911 will be called and the ambulance is coming soon. So I just wanted to flip over because I just didn't want to look at the pavement. I tried to use my right arm and I wasn't able to move it. So I said, okay, I'll flip over with my left arm, and I wasn't able to move, but maybe just a little bit of it, but not my whole arm. I tried to push off with my left leg, no results. My right leg, no results. The paramedics got there. Meanwhile, you know, at that time, until the paramedics got there, this lady kept talking to me and telling me that I was going to be all right. The paramedics got there. They did flip me over, put a brace around my neck, and they took me to the hospital. When I went to the hospital, I just remember going through a series of tons and tons and tons of x-rays. And then I was told, I remember they pushed me out into the hall and they said that that I probably, before they pushed me out into the hall, they said these two gentlemen came to me. I guess it was a doctor, I don't know. Excuse me, I need something to drink. And told me that the reason I was in such severe pain, especially with my right arm, is that my right arm was out of socket and they needed to put it back into socket. So they put a sheet around me, and this guy was over here to my left had wrung it around his arm to hold the sheet tight, while this guy over here was going to put my arm into socket. So he picked my arm up, put it out to the side, stretched it out as far as he could, went straight up and then went down. While I was pulling this way, this guy over here was really making the sheet tight so I wouldn't slide off the bed while this guy's pulling my arm. Okay. Right after that, well, he told me it was going to hurt really bad, which it did. But after it was over with, I did have relief. Well, when I had relief in my arm, then all the other injuries were prevalent. Then also I had a cut right here in my head, and I remember them putting me on a table and sewing that up. So I've got a big scar right here. The reason I couldn't move my extremities at the time when I wanted to turn over was because this arm, like I said, was knocked out of socket. That was my right arm. My left arm was broke here. And I have a big scar, so everybody sometimes questions me, you know, about that scar because of you can't see it that way, but because of the way that it's running, it looks like a little railroad track here where they had put staples in. Anyway, so I had broke this arm. With my right leg, my femur was broke, so this hip, I couldn't move this hip, so I couldn't flip over. And then on my left leg, my knee was shattered. I also had all of the small bones on the top of my feet were all broken, and then I had with a pedal, I guess, it went into my thigh, so I had a big gash there that they had to sew up. Anyway, I was in bad shape. So I remember them pushing me back into the hall, and one of them says she's going into shock. Now, mind you, I thought all this happened in the same day, but it didn't. And I guess, I don't know what they gave me. I remember blankets or something be put on me. The next thing that I remember, I was being transported to one of the other major hospitals. While I was there, and they again started taking x-rays all over again. I couldn't understand why they were taking more x-rays, because I just had all those x-rays at the other hospital, and they should have just, you know, put them with me as they were transporting me to the hospital that I was presently at that moment. But anyway, they took me back. They were doing x-rays. Now with the x-rays, they had two technicians, a male and a female. Well, remember now, all this is happening with my body, and so I'm really in pain and stuff. But what they would do is that they would pose me and tell me, Miss Sheila, you need to just stay real still. Then they'd lollygag over there, take the picture, the x-ray, come out giggling and talking. I'm telling you, when people are in pain, they don't want to hear all the giggling and stuff and lollygagging around and the male and female joking around over there. When I'm trying to hold a position that I'm in pain and I got broken bones and stuff, and you can't hold it for so long. I was livid, and plus being in a lot of pain, I was not a happy camper. Anyway, what happened after that? Like I said, it was the next day that they did surgery on me, and I don't know how many surgeons I had, but I had multiple surgeons, and they were doing everything at one time when they took me in, but I was still in surgery for 11 hours. They said that I was one. Now there was a lot of trauma patients that come in, but in that period of time, I was one of the worst trauma patients that they had seen in a while. I mean, I was all banged up, I'm gonna tell you. Needless to say, in all of that, is that I didn't understand why everything happened, though I had that check. I shouldn't have got on that scooter and riding down the road. Follow your spirit. If your spirit tells you don't do something, don't do it. But I guess I was hard-headed. I couldn't understand why all this happened beyond that as well. Okay, after the surgery, I was told that because of my injuries and stuff, that I would not be weight bearing on either one of my legs at least for 9 months. I was sent home. It was a hospital bed there, and I was in my den. It's 24/7. I could do nothing for myself. My leg was in a brace. I couldn't be weight bearing, remember. I couldn't feed myself. I couldn't bathe myself. I couldn't use the bathroom by myself. I couldn't do anything by myself. I was at the mercy of my caregiver, which lived with us. Praise God for that. But it was really, really bad. What was happening at that time now, I was having very severe pain now in this arm that they put back into socket. And the reason because of that is because when they put it back in, the ulnar nerve, and some of you don't know what the ulnar nerve, have you ever hit your funny bone and it hurt like heck? I mean, it hurts and you grab it, you're like, ah! Well, that's called your ulnar nerve, and it's nothing funny about it at all. I didn't laugh not one near time. But that hurt continuously 24/7. That pain when you hit your arm and it starts hurting like that, that's the way it stayed. It didn't let up. And I remember putting the bed up, the hospital bed that was in the den, straight up, and I would hold my arm and I would just rock like this and cry. Now I had a cast on this arm, so excuse me, my cast and everything, trying to hold my arm and just rock. Went back to a doctor, and he said he knew exactly what it was. I had already lost a muscle mass. My hand was drawing up. It was clawed up. Anyway, he sent me to have a nerve conduction test. I went to have the nerve conduction test. There was pins and stuff put all in my arm, and that hurt like crap too. Heck, sorry. And so they said they couldn't get a baseline. Let's put it in this arm. So they started trying to get a baseline out of this arm. Bottom line of all of that, he said he had to send the report into it. It was a Dr. Lee. Praise God. I mean, I know God put him in my life. And so the report was sent to him that they couldn't get a baseline, that it was too far gone. There was too much damage. And I was supposed to go see Dr. Lee the next day. Now, mind you, for me to be transported from place to place, I had a friend that had a van that would take her seats out of her van, and I was on like a makeshift stretcher. I mean, like one of those like you see MASH. That's what it was, a cloth, and it's like I had an entourage everywhere I went, because I'd have to have all these people, a person out here and a person in front of me, put me on that little stretcher, then put me into that van in the back seat, which was scary because if they dropped me, I was at the mercy of them. But okay. So I went to go see Dr. Lee. He got the report, and he said he didn't care what it said, that he was going to go on with the surgery. Well, the surgery was about 2 weeks out at that point. And I thought, oh no. Anyway, I did have the surgery, and I couldn't, this time, I couldn't put my arm over my head, as you see I can do it this way. I mean, nothing. I couldn't use my arm. After the surgery, it did take the pain away. Thank goodness. It was kind of like when they put my arm into the socket. It's like, it was a release of pain. This also happened, but I was still in bad shape. I wanted to move forward, and in moving forward, there was a lot of still things that were happening to me. I was stuck in that hospital bed 24/7. It was horrible. I didn't understand why all this happened. There was one time that I was able to get a slide board now, and they would slide me from the bed down into a wheelchair, so somebody had to push me around. We went to this church that was having David Ring. If any of you know David Ring, he had cerebral palsy. But anyway, in churches how they do, they say, okay, well, everybody greet your brothers and sisters, all the newcomers, give them a hug, yada, yada, yada. Well, because I was in that wheelchair, and this is vitally important for me to tell you this, and some of you that maybe have experienced being in a wheelchair or know somebody who's been in a wheelchair, and somebody like me, that I was just in a bad accident. There was nothing wrong with me other than I was just in an accident, and it was healing time. And it really bothered me that no, only one person came up to me and shook my hand. And it was like, do I have leprosy or something? We have to be very careful as to how we treat people. I went to Golden Corral another time, and there was this lady that was in a wheelchair, and she was trying to push herself, and she was trying to get food off the buffet and put it in her plate. I remember sitting there and I just busted out crying because I felt her. I felt her pain. I felt how she's treated. We have to be very, very, very careful. I'm saying this. Now, getting back to that, it's like the Lord showed me something because I kept asking him. I said, what, why? I don't understand. I had a ministry. I had a thrift shop. I was very energetic. This accident absolutely took all the wind out of my sail. I was able to do nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. And I could, if I wanted to read, I couldn't even turn a page. And my caregiver at the time, she would get a book and she would read stories to me. Or people would come over, they would bring movies because that's about all I could do was just watch TV or watch movies. In stores, people will try to hurry and get in front of you if you're in a wheelchair because they don't want to wait on you. You're just holding them up. That's very hurtful and painful. You might not think that it is, but it is, because it's hard enough as it is trying to get out those doors if you're in a wheelchair. And I'm saying all this to somebody, you know, and the Lord was telling me, he said, Sheila, he says, I know that you have love and compassion, but you don't have my love and compassion. The love and compassion went way, way deep, that he was showing me things and allowing me to see things and to feel things and to understand. And did I like it? No, I didn't like it. But I learned something out of all of that. 4 months later, I was went to church. I hadn't even been to church. I wanted to go to church. I felt led to go to church. And some of the members would come to by the house. They'd bring a guitar and sing and stuff and play. And I'd just boo-hoo and cry. It was just a humbling experience. So I went 4 months. Remember that the doctors told me I couldn't even be weight bearing on either one of my legs at all. Okay, and saying all of that, I mean, I had to go to therapy for my hand as well, because I couldn't feel anything in these 3 fingers, and my hand had drawn up still. And they had like Play-Doh and put pinto beans in them, and I had to try to pinch them out. And there was just all kinds of therapy just on this arm. Like I said, praise God, at the time I couldn't do anything with this arm, but now, as you can see, I can move in this arm and use my hand. I still can't feel everything in this little pinky finger. I can feel where I'm touching it, but it's not like this one, you know, feeling. It's completely different. So I went to church, getting back, I went to church, and you know, it's kind of like, you ever seen those little cartoons where you got angel on one and then a little devil sitting on the other? And I did feel the presence of the Lord, and the Lord just spoke to my spirit. He said, stand. Well, you got you know, the kind of like the angel goes, go stand, you know, trust me, trust my word, trust my anointing, trust my presence, trust me. And then you got this guy, you know what the doctor said, don't you dare stand, because they said it probably wouldn't hold. You're not supposed to be on weight bearing on either one of those legs until 9 months. And this is only 4 months, and you got 5 months to go. Stand, trust me, stand. Well, bottom line of it is, ladies and gentlemen, my caregiver was over to the side. I love her dearly. I could never repay her for what she's done for me. And I always tell her that. But I motioned for her to come over to me, and I told her, I said, move the foot pedals. And she goes, you want me to move the foot pedals? I went, yeah, move the foot pedals. But the presence of God was strong, and they were in praise and worship. It was awesome. The anointing was just so powerful then. When she moved them, I said, help me. And I stood. The church went up in a praise, because they knew the story. And I want to say this also, that when they put my leg, my hip, this is vitally important, when they put my hip together, and I've got a plate that runs down my hip, when my femur was broken, it was shattered, they had to kind of overlap it. They put mesh around it. And saying that when they overlapped it made my leg shorter, probably about I don't know, they've got it documented at that hospital. I remember that my husband had called to get some music from a ministry. Now, what are the odds of this? And I'm just going to say it wasn't Billy Graham. I'm going to use this because most everybody knows who Billy Graham is. What would be the odds for you, if he was still alive and stuff, if he was here, that you called his ministry and he would answer the phone? Slim, right? Well, my husband at the time had called because he was trying to get some CDs in, some praise and worship. Well, the person answered the phone. Long story short on that, he said, "Can I, is there anything I can pray for you about?" He said, "I need you to pray for my wife." And he told him about the accident. Now, this person has a healing ministry, by the way. So he prayed for me, and he told my husband, he says, "You tell her it's going to be like Christmas when she gets up. That when she gets up to be expecting." Well, when I would lay down in bed, ladies and gentlemen, is that, you know how you have the end of your heel here? Okay, say this is your other foot, okay? And right here is your ankle bone. Okay, let me go like that. Is your ankle bone. This foot, the heel of it would only come to the ankle bone. And I remember taking my foot and I would rub against that ankle bone. The heel of this right foot rubbing against the ankle bone. My foot didn't go out hardly much further as far as the heel part goes. I woke up the next morning, and every morning I would stretch as best that I could, and I thought something's wrong. And I called my caregiver. She came in. I said, "Look at this. Look." I picked up my pelvet, put it down, and to make sure that I was straight, laying straight in the bed. She got both of my feet and was pulling my feet. My leg had extended, ladies and gentlemen, all but just a little bit, which gives me, when I'm getting to, is that sometimes when you see that I walk, maybe I've kind of got just a little bit of a waddle, let me put it that way. That's why. But God extended my leg. That's a testimony. Let's go back to the accident. Nobody saw that lady there that was rubbing my back. Nobody saw it. There was nobody when the paramedics, there was nobody there. Because I wanted to know who this lady was, because I wanted to thank her. There was no lady there. Ladies and gentlemen, that was an angel. That was my angel. That was my angel that comforted me. It was God that extended my leg. It was God that I stood up in 4 months instead of 9 months. I'm just saying this to you is that to believe God is awesome. God is a healer. And everywhere that I go, if anybody ever asks me about my arm, what happened, that opens the door to tell my testimony. When I saw my videos, and as I'm talking, editing my videos, in the Lord pressed one, He says, "Now's the time," because I'm sure people are wondering why you walk like that. I'm telling you why I walk like that, and I'm glad that I walk like that. That reminds me of God and what He's done for me. It reminds me that to tell my testimony, for me to give somebody out there today that's listening to this, God can do anything. And this is to encourage you to trust God, and if God is telling you something, go with it. Go with it, whatever the Lord, and make sure it's the Lord now. Make sure it's the Lord. And to do it, like I said, I stood in 4 months out of 9. I'm not telling everybody just to stand up. That's not. You have to feel the Lord and what the Lord is telling you. I'm just saying this to bring encouragement to you, and also to others that treat people that are in wheelchairs. We're human beings. Some of us, there's nothing wrong with us. There's nothing wrong with my mind. I didn't have a disease. I was just healing. And I couldn't stand up at the time. And I had to be in a wheelchair. But I was treated like I had leprosy. That's awful. And let's go back. The Lord showed me really what love and compassion is. Those people that treat you like that when you're in a wheelchair, like you got the plague, is that love and compassion? I don't think so, ladies and gentlemen. So we need to examine ourselves. I need to continue to examine myself. I fall all the time. But I just wanted to take this time to share my testimony with you, and I think I've covered everything. I did have to go to therapy quite a bit. I think I told you all of my injuries. I can't think of anything else. I don't think I've missed anything. I was in a hospital for 11 days. I think maybe I've told you that. But anyway, I'm going to get off of here. I still got some things to do in there. I've been working on that bathroom a little bit today. It's painted and stuff, but I got to put some more stuff that my husband took out so we could paint. There's some DIYs that I'm wanting to do. So I got to get up from here and go in there. But I wanted to share this with you. I thank you, all of my subscribers. Oh, y'all were such a blessing to me. And just sweet comments. I try to get back to all of you. So if I haven't, just hang on. I will try as soon as I can. I've just got so much going on. And so I still got a load of laundry I need to get out of the dryer and fold them up. And I haven't even vacuumed. I usually try to vacuum every day. I haven't even done that. I don't know, just kind of slow again today. But anyway, I want to say this. Remember that I love you. But guess who loves you more? Jesus. Until the next video, bye y'all.